I was just looking at the current state that WWE is in now with their story arcs, and I couldn't help but say, well, WrestleMania right around the corner. Let's see if we can play match booking. So this isn't necessarily a special edition of our Call That Match piece. This is just a little bit of dream match booking, if you will. I don't even want to call it dream match booking. Let's just call it wishful thinking, okay? I think that's a better way to go about it. All right, so WrestleMania 30, I have for a kickoff special, Caitlyn, Natalya, teaming up with Mickie James, all right? 3 of those girls taking on Tara, Alicia Fox, Layla, with Trish Stratus, special guest referee. Why is Trish Stratus serving as a special guest referee? I don't want her to get too physical. You know, she just had a baby and all that. I want to give her as much time as she needs. No reason to rush her, even coming back into the ring. Let her go at her own accord. Of course, I put Mickie James and Tara in there because I feel that those are 2 girls that, if you have been keeping track, they recently have popped up at a couple of WWE events, even went to a couple of shows. So don't be too surprised if somewhere down the road, in the next couple of months, we may see both of these girls pop up. But I kind of figured that if these girls were to pop up at WrestleMania, let them be on opposite teams. You know we're going to get another great classic encounter between Mickie and Tara. But, you know, this match, it may not happen for the simple fact Tara, she's now signed on a deal to do a reality show of her Squared Circle restaurant. Looks like it might be premiering on True TV. Is from the producers of Hardcore Chicago. So if that really takes off, Tara may be done with wrestling altogether. But here's some wishful thinking right here, and hoping that maybe we could see her appear on the grandest stage of them all for one night only. And that's how I'm looking at both of these girls. Have it just be a one-time deal only. Get that WrestleMania payday, get that media spotlight and all that. But I think that would be a really good kickoff special for you all to check out. Daniel Bryan versus CM Punk versus Randy Orton, the WWE title. Now, my original wishful thinking here for this particular matchup, I really wanted to be Daniel Bryan taking on CM Punk for the WWE title. I think that that would just be what many, many hardcore wrestling fans want to see, especially those of you that have been following these guys' career since Ring of Honor. How badass would it be to see 2 former Ring of Honor alumni headline the biggest stage of them all, WrestleMania? I would love to see something like that happen. But then I'm kind of looking at what's going on right here with Randy Orton being the face of the WWE, and then kind of thinking about how WWE had put it out there several months back that they want to try to invest in longer championship reigns to make it seem that much more meaningful when somebody has the title. Honestly, I don't see Randy Orton losing this title anytime soon in the next several months. So keeping that in mind, I'm looking at a scenario play out where Randy Orton, he should, if they do this right, he should be going into WrestleMania 30 as the WWE champion. The question is, will he be taking on CM Punk for the title, or will he be taking on the white-hot Daniel Bryan? Honestly, I think a triple threat match would be the best way to go. Real Americans, Jack Swagger and Antonio Cesaro. I have these guys in a handicap match against a true Real American, the one and only Hulk Hogan. Now, we all know Hulk Hogan is a free agent. He has not yet signed a deal with TNA. He hasn't signed anything with WWE. He's just floating around there. Where's he going to go? Nobody knows. One thing we do know for certain is he has signed on to do a big-time wrestling event that's going to be happening in a couple of weeks as he's taking more independent bookings, but that's pretty much it. Just picture this right here. Now, some of you guys may be looking at that and you may be saying, Lee, I'm not really, come on, real Americans. What's Hulk Hogan? I am a real American. Come on, makes sense. Can you think about the golden promos that would be coming from Zeb Coulter's end as he's basically just going back and forth with the Hulkster? I mean, it would be somewhat of a throwback to what we saw in the 80s with the Hulkster there, especially if Hulk Hogan maybe gets the services of the mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. It'd be kind of nice to see him come on back. I think for nostalgia purposes, you just got to bust out Mean Gene Okerlund. I would love to just see, for just one night only, as they're basically setting up this big match, I would love to see Gene Okerlund. So, Hulk Hogan, let me ask you, just what exactly is going to be going on with Jack Swagger and Antonio Cesaro at WrestleMania 30? Well, you know something, Mean Gene. I think that would just be pretty freaking hilarious to see. It would be a nice, really classic throwback. Hulk Hogan, he's let it be known that he is training very, very hard. He is ready. He just wants to get that phone call from the WWE saying, hey, we want you to perform. Triple H has already told him that the door is wide open for him to come back, according to according to Hulk Hogan himself in a recent interview that he had said. And I don't think he's making anything up with regards to that. I think the door is wide open for him to come back. And honestly, WrestleMania 30, I think you need all the stars. I've always thought, since Jack Swagger and Antonio Cesaro have been calling themselves the real Americans, I always thought it was a little bit funny that we have these guys running around, and every time I hear that, I'm always thinking about Hulk Hogan. Honestly, that's the way that you need to go. Of course you're going to have Hulk Hogan go over Swagger and Cesaro. I would like to see Swagger and Cesaro stay together just long enough to be able to work that match with the Hulkster. Call it wishful thinking right here, but this is something personal that I would love to see happen for the Divas Championship. I want to see Brie Bella take on Nikki Bella. Doesn't matter which one of them has the title, but honestly, if we're really going to go there, well, let's go with the one that's been babyface a little bit longer. Well, what's been that one? That's been Nikki? Or has that been Brie? You know, they look so similar, except for a certain tattoo. That's the only way I can tell them apart. But whichever one has been the babyface a little bit longer, honestly, all joking aside, I want to see this particular match go down because I feel that with the current storyline that's going on with Tamina, AJ Lee, they're getting involved with the Bellas. The way that this is going about, I would love to see a storyline play out where one Bella turns on the other. And basically that could really, I think, if they do it right, set up a great storyline that could make a lot of people feel invested in, sister versus sister, for the Divas Championship. How can they really put their feelings aside as family to really be able to get into this match? I really think it would just be great storytelling, especially from the commentating standpoint. I think it would be really awesome, and let's give props where it's due. And I will be one of the first people to jump up and admit that there has been many times where I have looked at the Bella Twins early on, and I have said, what the hell? They come off like they shouldn't even be wrestlers. They're just eye candy. What the hell? They have really been busting their ass to get the in-ring stuff down, and I've been quite pleased with what I've been seeing of them in recent months. I know that they're getting better and better. I see it every time they're in the ring, and I know that on the grandest stage of them all, they would definitely be able to deliver. That is why I'm having the Bella Twins go at it for the Divas title. I think afterwards, when it's all said and done, it would be nice to see some type of an emotional moment go down where maybe the beef gets squashed between the two sisters and you see them embrace or whatever like that, or maybe they could stretch it out a little bit longer, but that's how I'm looking at it right there. Curtis Axel taking on Sheamus. Get this, for the Intercontinental title. I know some of you are kind of going, that's a weird one, Lee. Well, Sheamus has been gone for so long, I don't really think it would be a smart move to just catapult him into the main event picture just like that. You still got some folks that's out there that are still remembering the last reign that he had as World Heavyweight Champion. He was a hell of a fighter, I will give him that, but he just wasn't going over as well as he should have. He was going over better than Alberto Del Rio, but I don't know. I'm hoping that maybe with this new clean-shaven look that he's pushing and all that, maybe that will kind of, give him a little bit of a new spark. Maybe that'll be something that can really re-engage the fans, especially if he comes back with some new attire and all that. Maybe he can kind of get over next go-round, but I don't know. Just call it wishful thinking right here. For just call it personal reasons. I just think it would be kind of badass to see Curtis Axel against Sheamus for the Intercontinental title. Now, let's go to our next match. Option 1, Triple H versus Chris Jericho, or RVD. I mentioned these two guys because we got to think back to that infamous promo, what was that, 2 weeks ago on Monday Night Raw, Triple H laying it down, insulting Chris Jericho, RVD, Edge, basically saying that, yeah, those guys were champions, but they weren't the man. Honestly, if they were the man back in the day, we all would be working for Ted Turner. That was the shot heard all around the wrestling community. We saw each wrestler respond, Chris Jericho being the most vocal. Just recently, he had posted candid thoughts about Triple H's comments in a WWE.com exclusive interview. So, might this be the beginning of some type of a WrestleMania story arc? Well, only time will tell. We see that Chris Jericho is continuing to kind of stir the pot up a little bit. Personally, I think that would be a really great match to see. Quite honestly, if you ask me which one I would prefer more, that's a tough one, man. That is a real tough one. I would want to see how Triple H versus Chris Jericho would go down today. And honestly, I would want to see Chris Jericho go over Triple H. I think Triple H owes him. He owes him big time from when he came back from that quad injury and he took away the undisputed title from Chris Jericho. I would love to see Triple H do the right thing here, put Jericho over at a WrestleMania, but then have a rematch the very next month, and then Triple H goes over Jericho, and then you could just let it settle right there. Maybe you could do a third and final encounter at SummerSlam or something like that. But that's for either guys, either Jericho or RVD. I'd like to see work with Triple H. You know you got to have Triple H be involved on the grandest stage of them all. Now, look, I know with the way the current story arc is going that there's another scenario that could play out with Triple H. That's why I made an option 2. Triple H with Stephanie McMahon in his corner versus Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who's in Vince McMahon's corner, for control of the company. I think that, honestly, this is the story arc that they're really trying to set up, and I know that they're passionately trying very hard to see if they might be able to get Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in there. If you can't get The Rock, though, who else are you going to put in there? You know, who is equal to Triple H? Triple H talks about he only takes on the A guys, the A-plus guys. Well, if not The Rock, who else could you maybe put in there? What, do we move Hulk Hogan from his match with the Real Americans and have him take The Rock's place? That would be some wishful thinking right there. But then what are you going to do with Cesaro and Swagger? What, you're going to have them fight one another? I think that's a little too cliche. Wishful thinking, I mean, we know that The Rock, he's busy with his schedule and all that, but hey, this is my dream card. In my perfect world, I would let it be Triple H taking on The Rock. Control of WWE hangs in the balance. All right. Now, we got another match that we should talk about, which is Seth Rollins Roman Reigns versus the Usos versus the Primetime Players versus the Los Matadors versus Eric Rowan and Luke Harper. Wait, versus R-Truth and Kofi Kingston. Tag team elimination match for the tag titles. I think this would be just tag team galore. Look at all those tag teams that I just named. Let's go through those again. Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns versus the Usos, Jimmy and Jey Uso, versus the Primetime Players, Titus O'Neil, Darren Young, versus Los Matadors, versus the Wyatt families, Eric Rowan and Luke Harper, versus R-Truth and Kofi Kingston. Tag team elimination match for the tag titles. Who's going to be holding onto those tag titles by then? It's too close to call. We know that Goldust is under some type of a Legends deal. I believe, don't quote me on this because I could be wrong. Wouldn't be the first time. Definitely won't be the last. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he has a short-term deal with them. Now, whether or not that's going to see him go all the way to WrestleMania, not really sure. But the way things are kind of looking right now, it's really too close to call on who could be holding those tag titles by WrestleMania 30. But I would have that tag team galore match go down. Now, for those of you that's kind of going, but Lee, you're putting all the tag teams. Yes, I think you need to showcase the tag team division on the grandest stage of them all. When you really think about it, this has been one pet project of Triple H that I think has been going very well in the WWE. This is how you put the tag team division on the map, and you let them get their own spot on WrestleMania 30, and let it be one of the greatest highlights of the night, honestly. Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar. You know it's coming. Come on. Let's be for real. You know it's coming. Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar. Undertaker's into that whole MMA thing. Brock Lesnar's got the whole MMA, UFC background. It is a perfect storm. I don't know about you guys. Some of you all, you may want to see something different. Some of you may actually want to see Undertaker versus John Cena. I know there's a core audience of you that would love to see Undertaker versus John Cena, just so that you can be happy with the fact that John Cena lost to The Undertaker at a WrestleMania. But I'm going with Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar. I just feel that the way things are going right now, we are just very damn well going to see this match. Now, some folks are saying, well, wait a minute, what about Brock Lesnar versus Ryback? I don't want to see that. That doesn't really... Let me tell you something. The only way Brock Lesnar and a Ryback match would work, that shit would have to be an MMA match. I mean, you look at those guys. Those are some two big, beefy guys. That would have to be an actual physical match. I'm sorry. I would need to see them just go all balls out. But Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar. Who's going to go over? I'll let you guys decide that one. I just know, I think with the promos and all that, I think if they set it up properly, I think that would be some pretty badass stuff. John Cena, or here's another option now. Here's another option just for you John Cena fans. John Cena versus Undertaker for the World Heavyweight title. Now, originally, before Damian Sandow did the whole cash-in, I had a scenario play out where Sandow was going to cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase on Undertaker with controversial referee Scott Armstrong. Would this mean that Undertaker's streak ended? Because I would actually have him cash in the briefcase, get the 1, 2, 3. He's the new World Heavyweight Champion. Controversy galore. But check this out. The way I was going to have this play out, very next night on Monday Night Raw, I was going to have it be revealed that Scott Armstrong, he was not authorized to be signed on for that match. Therefore, there was no referee for that cash-in, and basically it never happened. That's the way I was going to try to set it up there. I know it's got a little bit of kinks that needs to be worked out, but then the rough draft, that's pretty much the gist of it. I think you guys can kind of connect the dots and see where I was going with that one. See what else we got. Another match that we have is Goldust taking on Cody Rhodes. And here you thought I mentioned all the tag teams. No. I've been wanting to see this matchup for about maybe 4 years now. Goldust versus Cody Rhodes, and the way things are looking right now, we're probably finally going to see that, which is why I sat up and said that the way things are currently going right now, it's safe to say that come WrestleMania time, Goldust and Cody Rhodes, they're not going to be holding on to those tag titles. I have Dolph Ziggler taking on Bray Wyatt. Why such a random matchup? I just kind of feel Bray Wyatt would have some fun cutting promos on Dolph Ziggler for his pretty boy Hollywood looks and all that crazy stuff. I'll let you guys work on that one. If you could figure out a better story arc, go right for it. But I'm just picturing new, fresh matchups, and hopefully you guys have been appreciating that, because that's pretty much how I had executed this entire WrestleMania card. But Dolph Ziggler taking on Bray Wyatt, I think that'd be another one that would intrigue fans. Notably, not on the WrestleMania 30 card, Kane or Ryback. Why? I don't really feel they're needed. That's really my answer. I don't really feel that they're needed. If you're going to have these guys be on the WrestleMania card, hell, that's two names right there. Just let them fight each other, quite honestly. Where could you squeeze that? Because we just went over 10 matches. Where could you squeeze that? I don't know. Maybe make that be a dark match? Maybe, you got me. Personally, I don't want to see the two guys. That's just, no disrespect to Kane, no disrespect to Ryback, but when I think of WrestleMania 30, I'm not exactly jumping up and down to want to see a Kane match or a Ryback match, not unless they're involved with some pretty cool kick-ass people like a Daniel Bryan or CM Punk or Randy Orton, or, you throw any of those other names in there. There's one other name that's missing from this as well. As I know you guys are keeping track, you guys are probably saying, well, Lee, what about Big Show? Once again, I don't think Big Show is needed. But WWE, they're probably going to figure out some type of a way to put those names that I mentioned into the WrestleMania card. And that's a little bit unfortunate. And one other name that we need to make sure we mention, because I know I'll be ridiculed for this, what about Fandango? Really? You really want to watch a 15-minute match with Fandango? Really? Really? I'm not going to even touch that. If you want, you can take those guys that I just mentioned. You could put them in a match amongst each other. But personally, I would just leave all those guys out. I would let all those guys just do most of the work for WrestleMania Access Weekend, quite honestly, with WWE Legends.